Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Welcome to the County Commissioners meeting of Weber County on this Tuesday, February 25th. I'm Commissioner Sharon Bolos. I'm joined by Commissioner Jim Harvey and Commissioner Gage Frower. Item B on our agenda is our Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Ashton Wilson, and then we'll have an invocation by Marty Smith.
Our Heavenly Father, we're so thankful we could come before Thee in this commission meeting today, and we're thankful for this great community we live in, for our freedoms and our liberties, and conduct the business of the people. We're thankful for the snow and the water and the rain which we've received. We ask that You look over this meeting and this commission body, that they may make the decisions that are best for the citizens in this community, and that we as Weber County employees can do our best to be good stewards of the people's business. And we say this in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Mr. Smith? Item D, commissioner comments. Any comments, commissioners? Any stories to tell?
A lot of stories, but
I'll say no.
no, I think I'm good, thanks.
Okay. Item E is public comments for agenda-related items. Anyone in the audience who'd like to give comments, we ask that you keep those to 3 minutes. Is there anyone who'd like to come forward at this time? Anyone online?
Ambassador?
Okay, we'll move to item F, consent items. Number 1, request for approval of purchase orders in the amount of $113,109.77. Number 2, request for approval of warrants numbers 104445 through 104501 and numbers 489447 through 489559 in the amount of $1,900,479.10. For a summary of warrants and purchase orders, Mr. Jason Horn, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mr. Hatch sends his alohas. The purchase order summary, we've got total POs 9. That amount equates to $113,000. Departments exceeding 5% of total PO spending. 40% or $45,000 goes to the library. That's books and materials, processing supplies, and building maintenance. 29% or $32,000 is for the transfer station. New tires for the main loader. And 15% or $17,000 is for roads, electrical service, entrance at the roads department. The warrant report summary, total warrants 170 for an amount of $1.9 million. 35% or $656,000 is for paramedic services, chest compression systems. 24% or $462,000 is for the gel, medical services, and culinary and utilities. 12% or $230,000 for Weber Human Services, monthly contribution. 5% or $96,000 is for public defender, their contracted services, and the top 5 vendors. One is Vital Core Health Strategies at $370,000, Ogden City Corporation at $307,000, Weber Human Services at $230,000, Weber Fire District at $198,000, and Roy City at $99,000. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to respond to those.
Any questions?
Done for me, thanks.
None about those things. No.
However,
I'll hold my tongue for the rest.
okay.
Thank you.
Item 4, request for approval of the minutes for the meetings held on February 18th, 2025, November 5th, 2024, November 12th, 2024. Item 5, a request from the Community Development Department for approval to surplus parcel 07-070-0022. Item 6, request for approval of a hold harmless agreement by and between the Weber County Sheriff's Office and the Davis County Sheriff's Office for secondary employment for 2 deputies. Item 7, request for approval of the Second Amendment to the Tourism and Convention Events Sales and Marketing Management Agreement. Item 8, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and the Flippin' Out Trampoline Show for performances at the 2025 Weber County Fair. Item 9, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Matt Bergen to have a bubble tower at the 2025 Weber County Fair. Item 10, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and the Living Zoltar to have the Living Zoltar perform at the 2025 Weber County Fair. Item 11, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and the World's Funnest Production to have a free photo booth and produce kids' stage shows at the 2025 Weber County Fair. Item 12, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and the Utah Gay Rodeo Association for rental of the Golden Spike Event Center Riding Arena during the Crossroad of the West Regional Rodeo. If there are no questions or comments, I'm ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve the consent items as listed on today's agenda, F1 through and including 12.
Second?
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item G, action items. Number 1, request for approval of Resolution 11-2025 of the County Commissioners of Weber County appointing a trustee to the board of the West Weber Taylor Cemetery District. Ms. Stacy Skeen, welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
West Weber Taylor Cemetery District had a board member that expired December 31st of 2024. It's Marlon Kirby. I posted the notice for 30 days and received only one application from Marlon, and he is requested to be reappointed until December 31st of 2028. Just asking for your approval.
Any questions?
No questions. I'm happy to make a motion whenever you're ready.
Please.
Chair, I'd move that we approve the resolution appointing Marlon Kirby to the board of the West Weber Taylor Cemetery District as presented by Ms. Stacy Skeen this morning.
That's Resolution 11, 2025.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Brent?
Roll call vote for Resolution 11-2025. Commissioner Flohr,
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey,
Aye.
Chair Bolos.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 2, request for approval of Resolution 12-2025 of the Board of County Commissioners of Weber County, appointing trustees to the governing board of the Little Mountain Service Area. Skeen.
So they had 2 board members that expired December 31st of 2024. Commissioner Gage Frohr was one. He's requesting to be reappointed. And then the individual that expired, he didn't reapply. I received a new application from Matthew Hatch, who would be acting as an agent on behalf of one of the landowners within the district. So there's 2 vacancies, 2 applications. I'm just asking for your approval. Both positions would expire December 31st of 2028.
Any questions? Ready for a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make that motion that we approve the 2 names as presented by Ms. Skeen today. That'd be Resolution 12-2025.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Brandt?
Roll call vote for Resolution 12-2025. Commissioner Flohr,
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey, Chair Bolos.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 3, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and the World Curling Federation and LOC for the 2026 LGT World Men's Curling Championship to be held at the Weber County Ice Sheet. Mr. Marty Smith.
Thank you, Commissioners. Good morning.
Morning.
The agreement you have before you is an agreement between the World Curling Federation and the local organizing committee to host the 2026 Men's World Curling Championships at our ice sheet here in town. The local organizing committee consists of us, Weber County, the Utah Olympic Legacy Foundation, and Ogden City. Those are the signers, as well as the World Curling Federation. The credit goes to Todd Ferrario and Sarah Tolliver for working through the details with the World Curling Federation, along with the Olympic Callum and Mari at the Olympic Federation here in Utah, to work through the details of this agreement. We also thank you to Commissioner Harvey and Mayor Nadolski for helping us secure some funding from the Utah State Sports Commission. And Liam also helped us work through a lot of the verbiage in this agreement. So a lot of folks have come together to get this agreement finalized. Just looking for your signature today or to answer any questions you have. It takes place March 28th through April, I think it's 4th or 5th of 2026.
Any questions?
No. I also want to give a shout out to, if I may, Madam
Please.
Chair, to Weber State for providing the security and the public safety for this event. That saved us 14, 18 grand, something like that in cost. This is a world event, a world platform event that's amazing, and it's curling, which is very exciting to a lot of people, especially outside the state and outside the country. It is going to be the first 2034 Olympic test event, and that'll be held at our ice sheet. So we have a lot of good things going for it. It also should shout to the people of this area with regards to Olympic venue legacy, on how well we've maintained that facility, and that it's still viable and very much something that can be used for world-class events. And so I'm glad you're presenting this today. It's great to get this done.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. I failed to mention Weber State. There are a lot of folks have come together to help us get this. And as it gets closer, we'll be looking for volunteers through avenues like the Goal Foundation and others. So it will take everyone. Thank you.
That's exciting. Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve this contract between the World Curling for the LGT World Men's Curling Championship for 2026. So with that Marty Smith presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marty.
Item 4, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and DeBracy Productions, Bill Birch, for a jousting show to be held at the 2025 Weber County Fair. Ms. Ashton Wilson, welcome.
Yes, I'm super excited about this one. I think Commissioner Harvey is aware of this, if not all of you, but we're actually building a new warm-up arena on the north end of our riding arena. So we not only have the one to the south it would be, and now we'll have one to the north. So it'll make both arenas, we could host 2 separate events at the same time in both arenas, and it's not been possible in the past. So we're going to do that, and in doing that, we're going to utilize that space at the fair for the first time too. So what's been the last couple of years, like that adrenaline zone, the adventure zone, half of that will be a warm-up arena now, and we're actually going to put a jousting show in there, which is really cool. I'm excited about it. So these guys are Vegas quality, really excited to have these guys in. So one of the agents I typically work with got me connected with these guys, and so it'll be a nice kind of major entertainment during the fair, but it's also free, so everybody can come and watch and enjoy. So I'm excited about this one.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Any questions?
It's great work. This is great work. And it's fun. It's certainly not anything people can just go out and see it anywhere. I
Yeah.
mean, it's going to be great.
Be fun to
Medieval
watch.
times vibes, yeah.
And it's great too. There are some, because of what we've been doing in Weber County for a long time relating to equine events. Some of the world championship jousting has been held in our area, and so this, I'm sure, we'll have a lot of people excited for this. So, Madam Chair, when you're ready,
I'm ready.
I'd make a motion that we approve this, the contract between DeBracy Productions and Bill Birch for the jousting show during the 2025 Weber County Fair.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And item 5, request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Dino Encounters to have the Dino Encounters education exhibit at the 2025 Weber County Fair.
Yeah, so this one is probably one I'm most proud of. Not only me, but Liam helped me out on this one tremendously, and he showed a lot of patience as well as we went back and forth with these guys on this. But I actually got them locked in for 3 years, which I'm thrilled about. We've submitted a ramp grant for this as well to help us fund some of this. But this is going to take up the entire Barn D parking lot, that new kid zone that I've kind of been building the last couple of years. So they take up 21,000 square feet. They have all sorts of educational things for kids, whether it's, they have like a blow up obstacle course that kids can play in. They have it like a life-size T-Rex that you can do a photo op on. They have like a dig area where there's bones and sand and the kids go in and brush it off, and archaeological paleontology stuff. So I'm really excited about this one, especially get some traction in that area, and it's totally free too. So moms and kids will be excited about that, and kind of just building around that. We'll have the petting zoo over there again. We'll have the special contest, whether it's the pickle eating contest and stuff like that. So we're excited about this one too, especially like I mentioned, the 3-year agreement that we have in place.
We should have a food eating contest. I'm sorry.
I think
Talk
we
about
tried
that
that
later.
once or
We did.
twice or 4 times. And
Oh, I've got plans for you guys.
Oh,
Me and
good.
Jessica.
Happy to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, if there are no questions, I'm ready for a motion on this one.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make that motion that we approve this 3-year contract with the Dino Encounters. And just with a quick comment, utilizing that corner or getting people to go over in that back side of the fair is that's a good value that you've created there. We've had other things there, and we've paid a lot of money for them back there, but there was hardly any participation, unfortunately. And that, not to say that they weren't really good quality, but what this does is this uses that same money and gets a lot more people involved. This is a smart use of a space for this event and our big county celebration or our fair. I appreciate the work you've done, Ashton. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So that's my motion, Madam Chair.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. Item 6, request to consider the approval of parcel 16-049-0130 in an interlocal cooperation agreement with North Ogden City and the intent to develop a public park. Mr. Sean Wilkinson, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
You have seen this parcel before. We held a public hearing a couple of weeks ago due to the impending sale of this property. This parcel is just over 4 acres. It was struck off to the county back in 2012 at the tax sale, and we have been working with North Ogden City to transfer this property to them, and the intent is that they will build a park on this property. So the agreement that we have right now, or that is before you today, it would be that Weber County would convey this property to North Ogden City. North Ogden City would pay the county $12,527.96. That was the amount of tax that was owed at the time that it was struck off to the county. Now the property is worth more than that, but because North Ogden City is also going to put significant investment into a park on this property, that is the price that was agreed to. Part of the agreement says that at a minimum, the city will develop the park within the next 10 years, and it will include restrooms and a drinking fountain. And then from the time that the park is installed, it has to remain a park for 20 years. If either of those things don't happen, if the city does not complete the park within 10 years and does not keep it operating for 20 years after that, there is a reversionary clause that would bring the property back to Weber County. So those are the terms of the agreement. North Ogden City has already signed it, and it's before you today for your approval.
Any questions for Mr. Wilkinson?
I do, Madam Chair.
Please.
Just clarification. So this is a piece of property we've really been on our agendas for the last year or so.
Yes.
First thing, as I recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that this property has limited access in terms of egress, ingress.
That is correct, yes. It is currently landlocked. It would need future development for it to have road access.
Right.
Yep.
And my second question is obviously your department followed all state code in terms of the application for us to sell this off to either the public or another municipality.
Correct,
And
we did.
And because it's municipality, we have a little more leadway under state code.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. That's my questions, Madam
Thank you.
Chair. I'm happy to make a motion whenever you're ready.
Please.
I'd make a motion we approve transfer the parcel 1649-130 in an interlocal cooperation agreement with North Ogden City with the intent to develop a public park as presented by Mr. Sean Wilkinson this morning.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 7, a request for approval of a contract by and between Weber County and Weber State University for the Weber State University Summer 2025 Police Academy. Miss Christy Rowley, Lieutenant Rowley. Welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner. Sorry. First, I was going to thank Mr. Smith for making me feel really old because I was one of the police officer back in 2001. We worked the very first World Curling event. It was an amazing event.
Fantastic.
But it's been a long time ago, so thank you for that. I'm here to present a contract between us and the Weber State University Police Academy. This contract is exactly the same as last year's Police Academy contract. The only thing that's changed is the dates. As you folks are aware, the Sheriff's Office priority is to hire and train qualified folks to fill our vacancies in our staff positions. In order to do that, we need to send folks to a police academy. We can send them down to Salt Lake to the police academy down in Salt Lake. It's just more beneficial to keep them up here closer to home for them. It's actually cheaper for us in the long run to send them to Weber State. Weber State's an amazing partner with us to get folks trained. We have an awesome relationship. Weber State normally does not hold a summer full-time academy. Because of the relationship we have with Weber State Police Academy, they're willing to basically let us buy a summer police academy so that we can send all of our folks there. Where our hope is to at least send 15 or more of new cadets this summer, starting in May. And that's what we're asking for.
That's great. Any questions for Lieutenant Rowley?
None from me.
No, I just, it's a great collaboration we have with Weber State. This is not the first time we've seen this, and the reports I hear back from both Weber State and the Sheriff Office is very positive as far as the outcomes that we see, and it sure beats making those people drive to Salt Lake.
It does, yes.
Okay, with that, I'm ready for a motion.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve that contract between Weber County and Weber State as presented by Lieutenant Christy Rowley this morning.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item H, public hearing. Number 1, request for a motion to adjourn the public meeting and convene a public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We're now in a public hearing. For item 2, to consider and possibly take action on an application to amend, amend the Western Weber General Plan to redesignate about 46 acres of land in the Taylor Landing subdivision, located at approximately 3900 west and 1800 south, from Parks and Recreation to medium large lot residential, and to rezone approximately 73 acres in Taylor Landing subdivision from the A1 zone to the R115 zone, and to rezone approximately 32 acres of land in the Taylor Landing subdivision from the A1 zone to the O1 zone, and to approve a development agreement for approximately 24 acres of the land zoned R115 for the Taylor Landing subdivision phase 6. Mr.
Yes.
Rick Grover.
A lot of words there. Thank you, Commissioners. This went before the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission gave a unanimous decision on this. You're going to be reviewing this in 3 parts. One is the general plan, looking at that as a plan amendment, and then the rezone, and then the development agreement. You've seen this in a work session. The general plan, basically, it was designated as open space on the plan, and what they're wanting on that plan now is to look at that area is medium lot residential. There still will be a component that will be going to the Park District. It'll just be a little smaller. They're going to be creating better connectivity throughout Taylor Landing, which will be a benefit to the public. And then also the park will be a public park as part of this, which will be nice. Also, the rezone of this, when you look at this, it will be changing it from the A1 to the R15, and then this will be 32 acres, and then there will still be an area from A1 zone to the O1 zone. So that will be part of the rezone, and then the development agreement, everything that was discussed in the work session has been included in that.
Any questions? I have one, if you'd like me to start. Will you just go through the numbers for me again?
Please.
46 acres is currently zoned A1.
Mm-hmm.
And we're asking to rezone 32 acres to open space,
Correct.
24 acres to R115.
Mm-hmm.
That equals 56.
You're right. It does. Maybe Mr. Ewert, you want to? You're just fine. You want to explain that?
Yes, so I apologize. I ran upstairs to get my presentation ready. I didn't realize we were going to get to this item so quickly.
We're pretty efficient here, Charlie,
We are.
in case you've never
You
been
are.
here before.
Okay. Give me just a second, get my presentation up. While I'm getting my presentation up, would you mind repeating the question?
Yeah, we're talking about 46 acres, but when you add the 32 acres of open space and 24 acres of R115, that equals 56, which is 10 extra acres.
Yeah, so we've actually got a couple of different things going on. We've got the area that is phase 6, which is formerly phases 4 and 5 open space. If you make this approval, formerly 4 and 5 open space. And then we've got the park itself, which there's a 10-acre park owned by the Park District existing on the property right now. plus 22 acres of the applicant's property, which is reserved as open space, but right now it's ag open space. So that 22 acres plus the 10 acres is where you get the 32 acres. And then on top of that, we're looking to get, asking you guys for a rezone of phases 1 through 5 as well. I can't remember the acreage on that, 100 and something acres total, just to make sure that since we're taking the subdivision kind of out of the cluster subdivision realm and making a standard subdivision, making sure each of those lots comply with our R115 zone, as opposed to just having them be non-conforming lots. Does that make sense? I tried to answer the question and do this other thing at the same time, and I am not a multitasker, so sorry.
So we're downsizing the open space by how many acres?
Let me pull that up. I think we're looking at 30 some odd acres. Hang on a second. Got that right here.
Our first action item says 46. But maybe that's not the number that I'm asking about. I'm asking about the adjustment.
Yeah. Let's look at this here. Let's see. I might have to re-log into the meeting here. Sorry, the document is taking its time opening. It's a big document. Commissioners, if only technology was as efficient as you guys were, we'd be cooking with gas here. Okay, looks like I'm not going to be able to get it up on the screen, but we'll go over the numbers here. So the total area of phases 1 through 6 of the Taylor Landing subdivision is 104.5 acres. Phase 6 is 24.3 acres. So that's the amount of space that they're looking to pull out of their open space preservation. When Taylor Landing was originally approved, it was approved as a cluster subdivision. Cluster subdivision at the time required some kind of open space. One of the ways to preserve open space was individually owned agricultural open space parcels. And so the developer at the time opted for all the open space to go into an individually owned ag parcel. The neighbors filed a lawsuit on the project, and the suit was based on open space and where the open space should be. And I believe that lawsuit was settled in favor of 10 acres of that open space being donated to the Taylor West Weber Park District. So that's the 10-acre park parcel that they have right now. And so there is a remaining piece of property that is, it's the 22 plus the 24, so there's where you get your 40 some odd acres. 22 of that acreage would go into the park district, and then the other 24 of that acreage would become phase 6 for the Taylor Landing subdivision.
So 24 acres are being changed from open space to residential.
To residential, yep. From individually owned agricultural open space to residential, and then 22 or so acres would be changed from individually owned agriculture to park space and donated to the park district. The other thing that the developer has committed to doing, they've got 2 wells on the property. They've committed to signing over the water rights that run with those wells to the park district. One of the things that we talked about with the Planning Commission was signing over those rights. We were hopeful at the time that signing over them would be 100% of the water needs of the park district. It looks like it's going to be about 50% of the acreage, total acreage of the park. Once you get hard surface improvements on there, you're getting a lot closer to that acre-foot allotment going towards the complete water needs of the park, but it may not be the entire amount. So we just work with the developer on doing the math on that, and that's based on 4 acre feet per acre agricultural duty, which hopefully when we're looking at water-wise qualities in that park, water-wise landscaping, it's going to be plenty of water for that park. But Park District is fully aware. In fact, Park District didn't try and negotiate water. That came from the Planning Commission, so that's just a big perk on top of what the Park District was asking for. They were just asking for the dirt at the time. So, any questions on any of that?
Other questions?
I do have, so tell me the total number of acre feet then that would go to the Park District?
I don't have that number right here in front of me, but it was about 50% of the total acreage. So if the total acreage, hang on a second, of the open space area, if that's 32, it sounded like they had, I do the math on that, I want to say it was 40-something, 45, 50 acre feet that would go to the Park District, if I remember correctly.
So
it was
the number of acre feet that are permitted through Weber Basin, then 50% of the water right would go to the park?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and I think it's a water right, not a share, so I don't think Weber Basin would necessarily be involved in that until that gets turned over. I think it's one of the historic shares that existed before Weber Basin did.
Okay, this is a historic water right then?
Yeah,
okay.
That would get turned over to the Park District, and the Park District can turn that over to whomever they want to, which will probably be Hooper Irrigation for secondary water.
Okay, now just a clarification.
Please.
In terms of size, I appreciate where you went with that, Madam Chair. So the Park District was, because of the lawsuit that happened a couple, 3 years ago, they were given 10 acres out of what I'm going to call the open space at that point in time.
Yeah.
Under this agreement, the developer would contribute an additional 22.
Correct.
So the Park District would receive a total of 32 acres.
Yes, and I just received word from the developer. It's actually 1 acre less, so a total of 31, with 21 being turned over, and that acre difference is because in order to secure the right to the water, the ownership of the water was a little bit obscure, and so in order for them to just clarify with the previous owners who owns the water, they agreed to work with those landowners just to square off their property, their neighboring property owners, and so they're just working with them to square it off. That brought the acreage of the park down to 31 from 32. I think we were looking at 31.8 originally, and it's closer to 31.0 now.
Got it. And the Park District, I believe, has signed off on this agreement?
Yeah, Park District has been pretty eager for this development agreement and rezone to get approved so they can continue master planning their park area.
Yeah. Okay. That concludes my questions, Madam Chair.
Other questions?
Just Planning Commission's recommendation, Charlie?
So the Planning Commission has recommended approval based on the stipulations set forth in the staff report. We've captured all of those stipulations in a development agreement plus some. With the one exception, the Planning Commission heard the park acreage as about 32 acres, and now it's about 31 acres, so that's one difference. The other thing that we're looking at with the developer, two things we're looking at. The legal description, because of that 1 acre plus or minus change, we need to change the legal description before the chair signs the rezone and the development agreement, and I don't have that from the surveyor yet. The developer is working on getting that back to me right now. So if you guys wanted to table this to another meeting and get it signed, that's more than fine. If you guys are comfortable with approving it contingent on staff getting that legal description in there, that's fine too. That's where we'll change the 32 to 31, if you're comfortable with that as well. The other thing is one of our general plan desires or directives is to have each development provide water-wise, water conservation-oriented landscaping. And something that we've talked to you guys about in the past is maybe encouraging smart water meters or smart water controllers. This developer, at least on this project, doesn't want to be required to have to do the smart water meters. Instead, they're volunteering to create 3 different water-wise landscape plan concepts that they'll sell to the people who buy into Phase 6 of the project. That way, when those folks come to the county to get their building permits, they'll present which water-wise concept they're choosing to go with, one of the 3, and that'll just be part of their approval process. So we need to make that tweak in the development agreement as well.
You said Phase 6. What about the other previous phases?
The development agreement is only going to apply to Phase 6 unless we can go back to the owners of Phases 1 through 5, which Phases 1 through 3 have been sold. Phase 4 has been platted and is now being sold. It's going to be hard to apply that retroactive. But what we did get from the developer in terms of street connectivity and pathway connectivity is we got them to eliminate one of the cul-de-sacs, or the only cul-de-sac, frankly, in Phase 5. They're eliminating that to make a stub street, stubbing to the neighbor's property, and they're providing a lot of pathway connectivity, including a connection to the Winston Park subdivision that we got reserved in one of our last meetings. So a lot better connectivity through that block. As far as street connectivity goes. So basically, the development agreement only applying to Phase 6, we're saying you only can start building in Phase 6 as long as those other connections have been made. So that's how we're reaching out beyond Phase 6 to get some compliance in those other areas. And the developer still maintains control over those portions of Phases 1 through 5.
Anything else? Any other questions?
No, not for me, thanks.
Commissioner Harvey?
No, none from me.
I do have one more question. When we go back to the original rezone, was all of the allowed density exhausted in those prior phases?
Yeah, so it wasn't a rezone, it was a cluster subdivision based on the A1 zone, agricultural 1 acre zone.
Oh, that's not a rezone?
No, it's an administrative action, but
Okay.
because they got a cluster out of that, they got, I believe 150% of the density they would have otherwise gotten through the A1 zone. But I did go back and do the math to determine what would it be if we went from Phase 1 through their now proposed Phase 6, and what would the density be on the property? And is it more than the current R115 zone? And it's not. So it is actually right at the right number. Excuse me.
For R115?
Yep, it's right at the R115 number. Yep.
Okay, okay. I appreciate the Planning Commission's recommendation. It shows that they support the Park District as the Park District tries to navigate what they want and reconcile that with what they thought they wanted.
Yeah, I agree, actually.
And I hope that we get there someday.
Me too. They've got a master plan for their 10 acres. They've got a preliminary master plan for the entire 32, 31 acres, and they're anxious to get going on the rest of it, I think. The other thing I failed to mention is this developer will build the 3900 West Street, connecting from the new Stagecoach development on the north all the way down to the subdivision south of 2200 South. So that'll be a full connection through that block that the developer is willing to provide.
Okay. If there are no other comments from the commissioners, we'll go to item 3, which is public comments. If there's anyone in the audience who would like to speak to any of these 3 items, or anyone online. Is there anyone online? Anyone in the public? Okay, then we'll move to item 4, which is a motion to adjourn the public hearing and reconvene our public meeting.
So move.
Second?
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're now back in the public meeting for item 5, which is 3 actions on the public hearing. H21 is a discussion and/or action on Resolution 13-2025 to amend the Western Weber General Plan to redesignate about 46 acres of land in the Taylor Landing subdivision from parks and recreation to medium large lot residential. And if I understood you correctly, Charlie, this is not one that we would want to hold if we chose to hold those ones that we're waiting on.
Yeah, the general plan change, feel free to pass that today if you want to. The other 2, if you want to just table them, feel free to do so.
Okay, item H21.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution 13-2025, that talks about the amendment to the general plan.
And I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Mr. Brandt?
Roll call vote for Resolution 13-2025. Commissioner Faur?
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Chair Bolos?
Nay. Okay, item 2-2, H2-2, discussion and or action on ordinance 2025-03 to rezone approximately 73 acres in the Taylor Landing subdivision from the A1 zone to the R115 zone, and to rezone approximately 32 acres, which actually is 31 acres, of land in the Taylor Landing subdivision from A1 to O1. I'm comfortable with either holding this or passing it contingent on staff approval, either way.
Madam Chair, I'm happy to make a motion that we approve ordinance 2025-03, subject to final clarification of staff on the acreage that was questioned, the 31 acres versus the 32, just to make sure that that's all part of the development agreement. It's clarified, there's no questions with the Park District, et cetera.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Did you have something to add?
Do you have any questions about the landscape plan versus the irrigation mechanism? Right now, the draft document says smart irrigation mechanism is required per lot. They would rather do landscape plan.
Is that part of the development agreement?
It will be.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, until we knew for a fact how much water that actually, I think we just have to go with basically the water-wise. I think it's premature. I don't know if we can even make a decision on that unless you want to come back and, do a well test so you can tell me how many gallons per minute that is producing. It's
Right.
premature, so, yeah.
Sounds good.
Anyway.
Okay, I have a motion and a second on item H22.
Roll call vote for ordinance 2025-03. Commissioner Faur?
Aye.
Commissioner Harvey?
Aye.
Chair Bolos?
Aye. Charlie, will you update us when those adjustments are made? Thank you. Item H2-3, discussion and or action on a development agreement for approximately 24 acres of the land zoned R115 for the Taylor Landing subdivision phase 6.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve that development agreement for the 24 acres with the appropriate wording that we just talked about. R115 for Taylor Landing phase 6.
I'm happy to second that with a clarification question for Charlie. So I'm assuming when we talk about the Planning Commission approval, they've also reviewed and approved the development agreement as required?
They have looked at a draft version of the development agreement. At the time, we were presenting to them the standards and stipulations that would go into a development agreement, not sending the full development agreement
Right.
to them.
Right.
But yeah, so everything that you see in the development agreement from a land use control perspective has been vetted through the Planning Commission.
Yeah, basically just the concepts that would apply to land use. I don't think, as we talked before, it's not required that they look at the entire agreement, but anything applied under land use would be appropriate for them to have an opinion on.
Yep.
Okay. So I'd second that, I
Second.
think.
That's what I think
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, that's it. You got
Okay,
it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Charlie. Appreciate that. We don't have an item to adjourn, so I guess we'll
I guess we're going to
sit
stay here until we,
Till next week.
yeah.
Well,
Let's add
please.
since we're not here next week.
let's add item G, will we?
Great motion to adjourn.
All in favor? Aye.